So to prepare for replacing and installing a new speed sensor on a 2000 Mercury Villager, this is all it takes, my friends. A couple of screwdrivers, one of them being a stubby so you can get around the sides of the speed sensor. But basically it's a 10mm socket, a small hammer. Yeah, so you can tap around the edges of the sensor, but otherwise it's pretty standard stuff, which is always good news. Okay, so today we're going to work through replacing a speed sensor on the back of the transmission of a 2000 Mercury Villager. So there are a few things to be able to access it that you need to do. You'll need to remove a number of these hoses off. I have them marked blue here because that helps me to remember to put them all back together when I'm done. And just a number of parts that will come off. I've already loosened these up to make it easier to show. And then what I've done is also loosened up the air filter and all of the housing around that. It does have an electrical connection. The way that this is, the way this comes off, it has a button on the back side here, right there. You push that, it'll pop, and you just slide it right off. And there's also an air connection back here, a little brass fitting there, so that'll have to come off as well. And once you have that all pulled apart, and you will have to be able to remove it there from the throttle body, you'll have to take the screw, loosen that screw up, and otherwise it just comes right out. And then that provides access to the area back in here on the back of the transmission. And if you look back in there, you can see a little gray and black piece that's sticking off the back of the transmission there. And if you're looking at it like this, you can see it right there. So it's a little ways back there. So what I have to do is try to remove as much as I can of the other parts preventing access, and then it just pop right out. Okay, so here we are underneath the car. You can see that I've already broken off the top of the speed sensor, and what you end up having is a flat surface. Just the very top of the speed sensor is accessible, and you just have this tiny little lip here to play with. And I saw another guy who came up with a really clever but complex way to remove this. What he did was he tapped the inside of the sensor after he broke the top off, threw a bolt in there with a bracket on it, and pounded it out from the bottom. And so since I didn't have those tools and I was trying not to take that much time, I came up with a simpler way that is equally effective. So what I did was I took a small flat screwdriver and I sharpened the tip up. I had it here just a second ago. Okay, so here's the screwdriver. It's a little stubby, and this little stubby guy just saved my bacon. So what I did was I took that, so you can see how it's all polished up and shiny on the tip. I put it on my grinding wheel and got it real sharp so that I could, I wasn't planning to at the time, but so I can carve away a little bit of the aluminum here. So you can see right here, there's a little bit of an area you can access. The trick here is, if you could get to this with enough space, it wouldn't be that hard to remove. But that's not a luxury you have. So what I did was I took this, and from down here in the bottom, I angled this in, and then just tapped it with a small hammer, like the kind of hammers that you get in like a homeowner's kit, like a $10 toolkit at Walmart. Really kind of a wimpy hammer, but it was just the right size to be able to access it from the different sides, as I could tap around the sides. And this is obviously sticking up, but this lip was down here against this, flat against this surface. So what I did was I carved away, it only took probably 3 minutes of tapping, just a slightly carving away some shreds of aluminum to then expose to the underside of this lip here. And then from there I could tap that, adjust up a little bit, and then I moved over here, tapped straight in, straight in, straight in. Then I got a bulkier stubby screwdriver, that's a flathead as well, and stuck it in there, wedged it up, and then wedged it all around because I didn't want to jeopardize, I didn't put a lot of pressure on this to jeopardize it or take the risk of breaking off that lip. So I slowly worked my way around. This is after I'd put on some WD-40. So as soon as you get the wire off, I'd start spraying some WD-40 on there and let that work its magic. So anyway, it took a few minutes and then just started tapping this up. And believe me, I tried a number of different ways to grab onto it and tap it up with the plastic part on top and everything else like this. This is probably the easiest thing I found, and a lot easier than some of the other methods that are out there. So hopefully this serves you well and saves you a lot of time and headache. Okay, so then we have the two parts, and it's that O-ring that causes the problem in all these speed sensors. I've worked on other similar vehicles and they had the same thing, but they were more accessible, so you could break that seal. But what you'll end up is having to take off this bottom plastic gear and putting it on the new piece. And really all you have to do is throw something underneath this this little I can't do it with one hand, but this little clip comes right off. But it is a just a little U-shaped piece of metal. You can just pry that off, and it pops off. And then this this gear just goes right on to the same place on this one. And it's ready to install. All right, there it is, the new part with the gear on the bottom. It's ready to install. So I'm going to take some of this transmission fluid down here and wipe it all around to try to minimize any friction as that goes in. It's a really snug fit. And also what I did before, when I took the other one out, I wiped around it as best I could to clean it real well, because you don't want any junk to bind up your install. So here it is reinstalled. It went pretty well. It was a little hard to get it straight to make sure it was true to the hole. So I just had to back out and try it several times, and then finally it slid in just right. And you can also see right here there is there, you can see it better there, where I carved away right here, and they're giving me just enough access under that lip to get a sharp screwdriver underneath there, and pry that up. It was also much easier to take this bolt off up here from the underside, so I would suggest, if you're watching this before starting this process, to just get another car and take that off as a piece of cake.